So that's why it's important to get yourself physically and mentally ready right from the start. Any difficulties with that first exercise, once we had got into it and we got it going? Everybody moving the ball from the middle? Did you experience the ball, whether you had to move back that way or that way? Was that all okay? Were you twisting? Were you getting it in the corner? Or was it drifting to the middle? Did some of us drift those balls to the middle in the beginning because we didn't turn enough? Yeah, they're the questions just to ask yourself. It's not a big problem. It's just something to say, I can do that a little bit better. How am I going to get that ball in the corner rather than the middle? I've got to turn a little bit more. So what I always like is players eventually coach themselves. Yeah. So if I give my players just enough information, then what I'm wanting is for those players to be thinking for themselves, not only when they're practicing, but when they're playing matches. Yeah, because I'm not going to be there for my players all of the time. I need good players need to be able to work stuff out and think for themselves. And practice is a good chance there for you to be able to do that.
Important thing's moving the left foot, isn't it, to get over to the wide?
Yes.
So I was reaching.
And so you weren't the only one that I saw struggled, particularly when we went to part 2 of the drill, that when the ball goes from backhand to because we're watching for the switch, we're here, the instinct was some players just went with the hand, some players went with hand and foot together, which is fine if it's not a big movement, but when it's a really big movement and we're out here, we can play the ball on the table just about, but we can't recover. So we've got to get those small details a little bit better. And again, one of the little tips that I said, what I see a lot is people shadow play when they finish the shot. Oh, I keep doing that. I keep doing that. Well, you're going to keep doing that if that's what you shadow play after you've finished it. So what should we do? If we've done something that's not quite where we want it to be, what do we think is a good way around it?
Do it right.
Shadow play the right thing. So if that's what I did do last time, and I don't want to do that, what you'll see, and you'll see it at Wimbledon, who's watching Wimbledon this week, when somebody is clearly in a good place, in the zone, they won't shadow play the stuff that they did wrong. You will see some of that, but that's bad practice, really bad practice. What's good practice, you'll see them shadow play what they should do. Maybe more than once as well. And they'll do it again and again. And I've seen it, whether it's Wimbledon, table tennis, the best players, when they're in a good place, they don't stress if they made a mistake, or even if they've made a bad judgment. They'll just tell themselves what they need to do next time, and then you'll see almost a little nod. That's what I'm going to do next time.
Just on that as well, obviously you talk about Wimbledon, because it's very current at the moment. I was watching Emma Raducanu and Sabalenka, and obviously she was in an unbelievable position, but she played really well. And then it was when it was getting back, when she had the lead, and then Sabalenka was coming back. When she went back to the change of ends, you know, where they sit, you could see her. She was sat there, and she wasn't like this or anything. She was like, "Yeah, come on, focus." And she was just again reinforcing all the things that she'd been doing, and in a positive way. When actually it could have been very easy for her, especially what she was up in the first set. And then unfortunately lost it, and again she was leading in the second set, so it could have been very easy for her to have then sat there and gone, oh, here we go again, like same story as the first set, but she wasn't, you could see her eyes, she was like, right, come on, this is what I need to do. And you know, it's so important, I think, that having that reset ability and to be able to, you know, keep that positivity all the time and reinforce, you know, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to do, because we're very quick to always put ourselves down, but to try and reinforce us in the right way is so important.
100%, and that's the biggest battle of the lot. We're talking a lot about techniques here, but it's about the bit that will help us get better and define how good we become is the mental game. And it's about being able to see the possibilities, not the problems, solve the problems, see the possibilities. Okay, that didn't work last time, but next time, that's what we have to be in the moment and looking at what we can do to make that next time I get that opportunity, because it is an opportunity, that's how I'm going to take it. So how you think is really important in this sport. So getting to the wide forehand, was that technique, or was it because you didn't read the switch quick enough? What do you think? Because you weren't the only one there that struggled on that. There was a lot of tables.
It's a perennial problem of mine. My movement's a perennial problem.
Okay.
If I get in the place, I can hit the shot, but it's reinforcing, as you say, the good habit.
Yeah.
That's what I need to do. I need to move that left foot instead of reaching.
So there's probably two things there. One, reading when that switch is coming initially, quick, early enough. Try and read what is it that tells you when your opponent's going to put the ball to a different position. Can you read that early enough? And two, have you then got the right techniques to try and push over? And if not, again, ask questions with us when we're here, or try and watch other people. Most of my learning was made by watching good players. I used to watch, and I still do in any sport. I love watching how easy, because that's what we say, isn't it? Don't they make it look easy? Don't good play in any sport, don't they make it, because they practice stuff so often, and they've just made it, become so simple for them. And we actually know it's actually not that simple. But if you get the techniques right and you understand what you're trying to do, you can keep improving no matter what age, guys, as well. All right? Because that's what we said, didn't we? Yeah, we're getting older. We might not be quite as quick as what we were, a few years ago, but our brains can read the game quicker, and it can often make up for, we're a fraction of a second slower at getting there, but I'm reading the switch a fraction earlier. I can see when my opponent switches. And so that's what we've got to hang on to, see if we can be good at learning as we come up with these problems. What I did like there, just to say, it felt like there was more match play going on when you were practicing like that. Certainly at this end, I can't speak for the other tables, that's how good practice should look like. Not just soft hearing the ball. I can hear an intensity in whether it's the floor squeaking, whether it's emotions coming out. Yes, come on. Yeah, all of them things tell me that that's a good practice hall when I can hear those things happening. Okay. So now we're going to do a little bit of stuff that we said we're going to focus on. Opening up. Okay, so if we can just get in a little bit closer.
Okay, so Alan is going to touch on the open up. So we're going to look at backhand open up to start with. But before we kind of introduce it into an exercise, just kind of want to show you, this is also a very, very kind of exercise, I guess, to look at the open up without playing an exercise as such. So Alan's going to just do kind of like a basic short serve. Sophie is going to return it with a push, nice and simple, to that backhand half, and then Alan is just going to open up with a backhand topspin, nice and controlled, and then what's going to happen is Sophie's going to catch the ball, throw it back, and then start again. So obviously it's an exercise of the backhand topspin, but without kind of just really stripping it down, really focusing on a good serve, but then putting all his focus into putting in a good quality.
It means 5 minutes doing this, I could open up maybe 50 times, whereas if we're trying to play rallies after it, we might only have 10. Okay, so it just gives us a bit more opportunity to groove something before we practice it. So again, just to start, I could start with a really simple serve. I'm just to practice. Yeah. Get ready, self to catch or block it back to me, whichever. So in position here. You've got to practice catching there. It's the spin and the speed. So. Okay, or a better way, my serves here, I can keep it fairly simple. I'm not trying to do heavy spin serves, I'm trying to put a little amount of backspin, because I'm concentrating on the opening up ball here. However, if I see serves like that, it's not going to work. So they've still got to be reasonably good serves. I could get simple backhand serves, practice that backhand topspin, because that's what I'm doing. But the serves are still got to be good enough that I'm going to get the correct return back. Okay? I've hit 10 opening balls there already. So let's have a little look at what we're doing, and I'll ask them a question or whatever. Okay, so simple serve.
Just take a closer look now and just watch Alan, just for a couple of balls, and then we can talk about it a little bit more in more detail.
So
Nice simple serve, but then now look. So, if you just keep going, and I will just talk to the man. So, just shout out, what are the key things that you're seeing here when Alan is playing his backhand topspin? What do we think? Hands up and go.
Just see the preparation or sitting down ready for
Yeah, so straight away after he's served, he's ready, he's down, we spoke about the preparation. Yeah, he's waiting for the ball again, look, posture, let's just see where he is. Okay, anything else? What else are we noticing?
His wrist's right back, almost flat.
Wrist is right back.
Yeah.
What's that doing?
Being able to generate spin.
Pardon?
Generate spin, and he's in control.
Yeah, trying to generate the spin, and also at times that means he can also then put a bit more what on it?
Speed.
Speed. Yeah, so there he's here, so he can change between a slower one, but then if he sees it and it's an opportunity, actually then he can accelerate forward as well, which is kind of, you know, where we want to be, isn't it? Not always playing the same shot, being able to adapt between, you know, different techniques.
I think here we've obviously got different groups, we've got different standards. Some of you need to make sure the fundamentals are correct. So posture, getting in position, so serving nice and low. I'm looking where the ball is. It might only be a little bit different, but I'm trying to get my head behind the line of the ball as much as I can. Rather than it being here or here, I'm trying to get my head behind the ball because that will enable better timing for me. Okay? What else? The next bit I'm trying to do, the first thing I did for the first 10 balls, lots of topspin. Make sure I'm getting lots of spin, lots of control, getting it over the net as often as I can. I'm doing that by not taking it too low. I'm taking it quite early, and I'm using my forearm and wrist to try and accelerate. As I got better, then it comes back to the bit that Kenny said. Now I'm not only trying to just put spin on the ball, but if I get the right ball, I might be able to go a little bit faster. Yeah, so I've got to choose, sometimes safe, sometimes more power. They're too difficult. Yeah, so I've got to lift it. So my shot selection is important. I just can't, just because I want to rip it, can't just do that. That ball bounced only just off the edge. There's no way on earth I could go hard on that. So shot selection comes into play. Even if I want to play hard, that's just not possible on that ball. So yeah, let's see some good decision making. If I wanted to, I could go slower. If I wanted to, I can go faster. But it takes a lot of repeat practice to be able to do that. The other thing, so far I've had a conversation about the importance of playing lines. This time, can I do it down the line as well? Yeah? So that was the spin ball down the line. A little bit harder than that one. Again, or to the crossover. Yeah? Catch my opponent tap. So these shots, can I move the ball around? Keep my opponent guessing where the ball's going. But you can see, by doing this little simple drill, I've now got my backhand groove, practiced, ready. But if I did another type of practice, I should now be starting to get a little bit more solid on that backhand opening.
Just to kind of reinforce as well, when Alan is doing that, he's always in this position as much as possible. And, you know, looking around the room, and I know I did it, I mean, hands up, please be completely honest. How many times have we gone like that to play a backhand? Put your hands up if that is you, because I used to do it as well. I think we've all done it at some point. So you put your hand up. Yeah, it's normal, but, you know, there, again, obviously, a lot of practice, and he's very
And just on that point, this is probably Soph, I hope you don't mind sharing this. But this is one of the things in recent weeks that Soph's been playing when she's played international games. It's something that when she's played a good player and they've been pushing the ball very, very fast, very, very deep, it's kind of compromised her posture because maybe we've not worked out exactly why, but we're trying to solve getting this a little bit better. But if, for example, if you stood too close, that means that you end up moving back because the ball's coming through faster. Equally, if it's just a good ball and you're trying to lift it, we can sometimes throw the head back. And again, you can get those balls on, but probably not as much quality. And if you're now in this position and that ball gets relooped on the next one, you're not in a position to counter-attack. So your recovery after you've opened your posture and the ability to then follow it up is going to be important. It's not just the opening ball, it's then being in a position to make the next attack. So I think if we'll do a few minutes of that, then the other side do a few minutes of that on the backhand side. And then we will play some points thereafter.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Is there a point, like a point on the ball that you're trying to contact on this particular?
Yeah, good question. So for me, and it depends where you are with your opening ball. So my coach, when I was younger, he almost liked me to have my back in that position, so that I would kind of almost just roll it over, because I wasn't getting a lot of spin in the beginning, and there wasn't a lot of spin on the push. So I learned just to turn the racket over. With these rubbers and the level that we're at now, I don't need to have an open back face. My back face is here, and I'm trying to basically, depends how much lift I need, but I'm contacting definitely back of the ball. If it's a float ball, I will probably be going slightly more through the top. If it's heavy backspin, slightly more through the back, but it's somewhere around those positions there, depending on how much lift and how much sort of forward power I can put into that ball. Yeah.
How much are you using your legs?
Good question. What do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
You need to use it all the time, massively. I would say if it's going to be heavy backspin, you're going to be using it. You need to use them massively, and maybe less so.
But I'm definitely using my leg. If I'm straight, I'm not going to lift. But what I'm not doing is coming straight up and straightening the legs. What I'm doing is just a little lift, and what that's allowing me to do, that's the trigger point for the acceleration in the racket. There. But I need to stay down, so I'm not going to just come straight up with the legs. So the legs are being used very much, but I'm stopping. Once I've got that lift, it's coming from the forearm and wrist, bang! And then I'm in position, hopefully, for the follow-up ball as well, when it's either blocked or relooped back to me.
Are you transferring your weight from left leg to right leg to do it?
Little bit, yeah. Yeah, so there is, because I'm also, and you probably can't see that much, but there's a little rotation in the waist. It's not, it's just, can you see that there? If I exaggerate it, so there is a slight shift of weight from one to the other, but it's quite subtle, that, and there's also a little bit of body rotation to help that shot. Bang, bang, and then the follow-up, yeah. So 5 minutes each.
Yeah.
There'll be 2 balls on each table. Let's have one side practicing serve and open up. The other side pushing the ball. But I want to see you pushing the ball here, deep into the corner, and then getting back. And you can either block that ball back and start again, or you can catch it and start again. We're practicing backhand opening up here, and also forehand pushing deep into that baseline. Okay?
Okay, Tom and Alfie with me, please, on multi-ball.